Hello, hello. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy 2025. It is technically Sunday or Saturn evening. It is 12:50. Sunday, January 5th. And it is a Venus hour. The sun is in Capricorn and the moon is in Pisces. And yeah, it's been quite a minute. It's just I've had to listen to my own advice and take it easy. It is really like hibernation season. Like all the animals in the world are doing it, and humans are earth beings. There's no reason why we shouldn't follow nature's laws. And I think that's one of the things that's going to become more normalized, I guess you could say, as soon as we deprogram and unlearn the conditioning that we've been subject to produce and just like stay in this rat wheel of capitalism, this 9 to 5, produce and and achieve and conquer and get that bag and profit, profit, profit. And it's easier said than done, for sure. And there's just a lot of signatures in the astrology that are encouraging us to kind of dial it back, take it easy. And yeah, that's what I wanted to mention today, is just the support that we're getting from multiple shifts and aspects that are having us go inward and really develop our involution before we can evolve, before we can really see an evolution take place. And this is as Mars in Leo retrograde is opposing Pluto in Aquarius. And so this kind of aspect is asking us to really go inward and dig deeper to see how we can affect change that will ripple out and really make an impact on the collective. And Mars is the ruler of our North Node in Aries, which is about to wrap up. It's currently at 0 degrees Aries, and the nodes move backwards into the signs. And so come January 11th, the North Node will move into Pisces, entering at the 29 degree. And it will again be in a trine to Mars in Cancer, because with Mars retrograde, it'll move backwards into Cancer. And so there'll be a harmonious flow of water energies, emotions, intuition between Mars and the North Node. So these energies, the retrograde energies are, not energies that we take action on. This is like an internal exploration of really making sure that we are in alignment with our true selves, with our inner source, with our inner child. And so it's not going to be a walk in the park, that's for sure. But it is going to help us with our evolution. So just trust that, the confrontations that we can be coming up on, that we can be facing right now, they're probably long overdue. And, you are probably aware of the relationships that need to be either resolved or reworked, or just having those difficult conversations that, yeah, they're not going to, they may not be pretty, but they are necessary. And this is something that I also have to kind of follow my own advice on. So yeah, it's easier said than done, but we can also put in the effort and meditate or pray and be a clear channel to receive the messages from our higher selves, to be able to have those conversations. And this is something that is happening collectively, and so the people that you need to have these conversations with are likely feeling the same way. And it would be great if they had the awareness of the astrology, of this tense aspect between Mars and Pluto, and how it affects our charts personally, because then we can, kind of brace ourselves for it and even possibly use the language to help explain what's going on. But yeah, there's this grace that we have to take with ourselves as well as with others for the next from here on out. Actually, like Mars is moving in and out of signs. Mars is moving into Cancer, and then it will move back into Leo. And then there's also Venus, who will be moving into, who's currently in Pisces, which is considered to be an exalted placement because Venus is connected to relationships and values and, money and gifts, and also the feminine energy. And in the sign of Pisces, Pisces is all about compassion and unconditional love and acceptance and forgiveness, which brings, complete harmony. And it will be moving into Aries in about a month, but then we'll also retrograde back into Pisces in, in March. So this can bring about like relationships coming back into our lives to kind of, revisit those lessons, and we can see them as teachers, and they could bring blessings. Lessons are blessings, so that we're able to take those lessons and apply them to our own self-worth and value, and give us that confidence to continue carving out our own path to alignment. Like Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, it really wants us to be spiritually aligned, authentically aligned with our soul's purpose. And like in the midst of this carving out a path, we are also learning what our soul purpose is. And it can be a difficult endeavor, because we're like unlearning all the programming that we've been subject to, believing that, feeding this profit-driven society was our purpose, like becoming, director of blah, 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 or, whatever it might be. But now with Pluto and Mars in opposition, or Mars and Pluto in opposition, this is asking us to really dig deep and find out how our purpose and our actions, our career, or our legacy is actually contributing to the collective. So that's like this big trial and error that we're all experiencing, and we have to really give ourselves grace, and as well as others, to be able to make mistakes and learn from them, because nobody has anything figured out right now. Like everything is very in this liminal space, which, this is what the universe is conspiring, and it's in our favor. We are meant to kind of go with the flow and connect with the energies that are at play, which is why it's so helpful and important to know the astrology and know your birth chart. It's your blueprint, and when you are aware of the energies that are supporting your path and the ones that are challenging your path, then you can be prepared to, like bring an umbrella, or, not pursue something that you may have been influenced or convinced to pursue, whether it was through family programming, or, your coworkers want you to, go in the same direction that they're going. And if you're not instinctively feeling it, if it's not a, like a fuck yes, then there's a reason for that. And that's something to investigate and like look into. Why do you feel that way when everybody else is going in one direction, and there's something about it that doesn't sit right with you? Then that's something that you want to explore. And having the astrology can help validate your intuition and help kind of guide you into following your gut instincts. And then Saturn and Neptune will be moving into Aries. Saturn will be moving into Aries in May, like around the end of May this year, and then it'll retrograde, and it'll come back into Pisces. And then Neptune will also be doing the same thing. Neptune actually enters Aries in March, end of March, but then it'll retrograde back into Pisces around October. and Saturn and Neptune will be traveling within a degree of each other. So they will be within orb, traveling back into Pisces around the same time, and then they will be at the same degree in the same minute in February of 2026. So I think it's February 20th. They will be at 0 degrees and is it 47 minutes? I want to say 45 minutes. So they will be conjunct at 0 degrees and 45 minutes on February 20th, 2026, Saturn and Neptune. And so that's going to be a dramatic shift in the energy. Saturn brings form and brings form to your dreams. Like Neptune is dreams, your your dreams, your spiritual entrepreneurship can be Saturn and Neptune, spiritual independence. And so, like, one of the biggest things about this year and like going forward is the need to individuate. Like, that's going to be an urge that the universe is going to keep on feeding us, to discover our individuality and like have no shame in it, and connect to people who actually support and celebrate your individuality, differentiate ourselves from others. And this is already something that is a guiding principle with Pluto in Aquarius. Like, Pluto is an empowering energy, and especially when it first moves into a sign, it's like a very empowering, exciting energy. And in the sign of Aquarius, it's all about individuality and, you know, flying your freak flag, innovation, humanitarianism, like all of these things that we love about Aquarius. Like whistleblowers are popping off right now, and it's exposing a lot of things that have been hidden for hundreds of years. And I've got to like show a lot of respect for whistleblowers, because they, you know, risk their lives and reputations and relationships to speak out and, you know, not just follow the narrative that's been projected onto our screens for us to just blindly, unwittingly accept and consent to. So these whistleblowers are doing this for the love of humanity. And yeah, like, I think it's Cancel His Clothing Company, I think is the name of his Instagram. He's really doing the thing, like calling out all these psyopses. But I digress. Tangent. But yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is going to be 20 years of a lot of secrets revealed that have been hidden. And not only secrets, but also energies will start to come forward. I feel like this is something that speaks to, I guess you can call them aliens, that are, you know, showing up, coming from the ocean. There's also another channeler who was recently on Pam Gregory's channel, Martha, what is her name? Martha Alt.
What is the best way to lose this central obesity? Some people call it belly fat.
I'm going to drink wine. Your offerings are so generous as well, Martha. There's so much for people to...
There's another channeler on Pam, who was on Pam Gregory's channel, Martha Alter Himes, who has been, I guess, approached by these inner earth beings and has been sharing their messages with her and through her, and she's been able to channel their messages, and she's been able to share them on channels like Pam Gregory's, who are open and accepting of people who have this kind of gift. And I don't even know if you would call it a gift, or this ability, or this access to these inner earth beings, or these other universal wisdoms. And there's another Alunia, gosh, what's her name? She's been able to channel like various energies and entities. She's even been able to channel Alunia Noel. She's been able to channel messages from the pyramids of Giza. And these kind of channelers will be coming through and like surfacing even more. I feel like that's part of the Pluto in Aquarius age, and that's something that we can start to get used to. Like, this is a phase in humanity where, these energies have been witnessing us and like kind of monitoring our level of acceptance to these spiritual energies, and have now kind of like, I guess, decided like, okay, we can show ourselves to these people who will not freak out when they receive this information. So, and with this Pluto and Aquarius phase, it will also be in a trine to Uranus in Gemini, which Uranus will be moving into Gemini come June. It's currently in Taurus at the moment, and Uranus will enter Gemini July 7th, so 7/7/25, and then it'll retrograde back into Taurus, back to 27 degrees and 27 degrees, and then go direct on February 3rd, 2026. And so there's going to be a trine between Pluto and Uranus, which hasn't happened in a long time. I have it somewhere. I mean, these aspects to these outer planets, these like Uranus and Pluto, has been researched and presented by, Richard Tarnas, and there was a series that was done on these massive like aspects between Pluto and Uranus. I think primarily those two that speak to the revolutions that we've experienced globally and the changing of the gods. So it came out a few years ago, and I highly recommend it. I think it's maybe on Amazon, one of those streaming services, but Changing of the Gods, and it's so well done. 111 at the moment. And so you can see how like the zeitgeist of our collective has gone through these phases that speak to dramatic, unexpected events, and it's how these revolutions have come about. Uranus is the planet of revolution, unexpected change, sudden events, like genius, innovations, and Uranus is meant to shake things out of stagnation. I think Aubrey Stars calls Uranus the galactic fixer, and so it's not very emotionally. It's like very emotionally detached, but it's kind of like that. It's like necessary for that emotional detachment to be in place so that dramatic changes can happen. It's like a sudden, like, this is what needs to be for things to like course correct. So not staying attached to what has been and just like moving forward. And Uranus is the planet that was discovered after Saturn, and it's the boundary breaker. Uranus like breaks the rules and goes beyond the limits, and experiments and sees what else is out there. It's like the planet of innovation, experimentation. And then Jupiter will move into Cancer in June. So a lot of astrologers say the luckiest sign of the year will be Cancer, because Jupiter is moving into Cancer. And I mean, it is definitely, there's more to it than that. I feel like all of the water signs will be feeling an uplift with the North Node moving into Pisces, and then Jupiter into Cancer, both water signs. And then Scorpio, of course, will be able to receive that flow of energy. So, like, to say that one sign is going to receive all the blessings is too much of a generalization, in my opinion. And it all depends on other things going on in the chart. If you ask me, Uranus in Gemini is going to feel the biggest effects, but it'll retrograde back into Taurus, and then it'll move back into Gemini in April of 2026, and it'll stay there. It'll stay there for, gosh, I think it's, was it like 13 years? I'll have to look into that more. But yeah, and then January 111 is when the nodes shift from Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. So the North Node in Pisces can look like a lot more forgiveness, acceptance, grievance. There's going to be a lot of tears shed, whether that's, grieving the loss of what was, the old systems, regimes, leaders, but also tears of joy, like profound hope and happiness, and like heaven on earth can be within reach in our lifetime. And so having this realization of those dreams coming true, like the grieving and the tears of joy and hope will happen simultaneously. So this is this is a purifying and cleansing phase. Like water, there's going to be a lot of water energies that are happening. Jupiter in Cancer is going to be like an influx of emotions and literal water, like waves of could be, all types of weather patterns, whether it's like typhoons or tsunamis or floods. And this is meant to cleanse and purify in more ways than one. And this is something that Gaia, the earth, is projecting onto or into our lives. This is symbolic and it's literal, and it's nothing to be afraid of. Like, we can't fight this. We have to really come into a flow, no pun intended, with what is happening. And it is a good idea to kind of like prepare. That's something that I am planning to do, is just like kind of like really, really, really downsize so much that like I'm able to like pack things into a bag and like just throw it on my back. Um, so not to scare or anything, but this is something that has probably been a long time coming, and it is all for our highest evolution. And Virgo, in the South Node in Virgo, is going to be a release of the shadow sides of Virgo. So Virgo being very orderly, it could speak to like what is it called? It could speak to um, like work, like this need to be so productive and efficient and useful. Like Virgo wants to be of use and be helpful and be of service. But then there's also the shadow sides of the Virgo archetype, where they can be overused to the degree of like selflessness, where they can be Virgos. Virgos are connected to slavery as well, so just like involuntary servitude. And there's this connection to involuntary servitude and citizenship, where we have unwittingly signed our life over to governments without being, like without transparency. We've kind of blindly accepted that the forms that we've put our signature on, we unwittingly trusted like the entities and corporations and governments and hospitals and all these entities, believing that this was done in our favor for tracking or like whatever record keeping it might be, when in fact our signature has been used against us in order to keep us in this involuntary, or like in this servitude status, where it looks like it's voluntary because we put our signature on there, but it was worded in these legalese ways to confuse us and make us believe that like, okay, I trust that the hospital knows what it's doing, and these records are being kept in a safe place, and there's nothing harmful or bad that's going to be used against us. But that kind of information is going to come to the surface as well. So yeah, shadow sides of Virgo will come to the surface, and it will come to the surface for us to, dismantle and release. So, what I wanted to mention, but yeah. So there can be, like new leaders emerging for sure. Leaders that have, a heart-centered objective. And that's something that we want to also keep our focus on, is like staying centered, staying centered with the heart, staying grounded, and like staying flexible. Like stay curious. You know, we're unlearning a lot of programming, and that is going to take a lot of adjusting to. It's like a big learning curve. It's like a big unlearning curve. You know, generations and generations of doing these things over and over again, like these things that have been passed down to us, these businesses that have been passed down, these rituals, traditions, all of these things are going to change and shift, and we're basically reversing the reverse. We're going to come to find out that a lot of these things that we've been taught, like in our history books, have been complete lies. And the narratives that have been told, we will learn, we're told to keep a certain class at a certain position, to keep classes in certain positions for the benefit of one fraction of a class. So, hopefully that made sense. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, important to stay heart-centered, stay grounded, have grace with yourself, stay centered, stay grounded, have grace with yourself and with one another, stay flexible and curious, and especially with Neptune at the last degrees of Pisces. Like, Pisces is the sign of illusion and fantasy. Can't tell what's real or what's not, especially with AI right now. And like I've said before, 29 degrees can be an expression of the most extreme of that sign. It can be the most, like off the wall illusions and psyops. Like a lot of psyops, psychological operations will come to the surface, and it is so unfortunate to realize that these psyopses have been at the expense of real lives, like people that we might know personally, or that there's like some connection to. And the psyops, the people that are in charge of these psyopses will just realize that how heartless they are. It's just meant to keep us in this fear state. So we have to keep in mind that these shadow players are there for a reason, and not to invest our emotion into these projected stories that are flooding the news streams. Just stay curious, stay flexible, stay centered, stay grounded. I think that's all I wanted to mention. So I hope that made sense. I hope that was helpful. There's a lot happening, and if you have your sun, moon, rising, midheaven in any of the signs I mentioned, Aries, Pisces, Cancer, Gemini, Leo, and even Taurus. Taurus also at the last degrees where Uranus is at. Well, it's retrograde at the moment, but it'll come to 29 degrees Taurus, which will again be like the extreme expressions of that sign. Just stay open and flexible, and don't expect the unexpected, especially with Uranus in Taurus. Definitely connect with nature, and moderation is the key. Like, we want to be in balance with the pendulum that is swinging right now. We don't want to hold on to the past. We want to trust that the future is bringing us into the golden age, which it really is, and is really exciting. So we just want to keep that in mind, and be excited for what's to come. So okay, I hope that was helpful. Feel free to hit me up if you're curious about how these energies are affecting you personally. I know these are wild and crazy times, but it's definitely energies that are conspiring in our favor, and it is a blessing to be alive and to be able to co-create and shape the world that we want to see. These are opportunities opening up for us where we can actually create the divine bliss that we were told what we had to die for. Like, we were actually creating the divine bliss that will feel like heaven on earth. And so that's something exciting to realize. So anyway, yeah, hopefully that made sense and hopefully that was helpful. So hope to see you on the next one, and take all the best care. All right, ciao.